关山月
The Fort Moon. The moon came out of the Tian Mountain in the mist sea of clouds. The wind howled thousands of li over the Yumen fort. The Han soldiers were ambushed at the Baideng path. The foreign tribes were looking on to Qinghai. From the beginning of time, no one has ever returned. The guards looked at the border. They were sad at not being able to go home. Their folks stood high at the pavilion, lamenting without end.
于田采花
Flower picking at Yutian. There was a flower girl in Yutian. She said she was as pretty as a flower. Wang Zhaojun was selected to be the concubine of the chief of the Xiongnu tribe. All the girls there were put to shame. Then it was known that the center land had so much beauty. The Hu country's flower couldn't be compared with it. Wisdom could make an ugly woman pretty. The plain Wu Yan could make it to the high court. Since time began, women were jealous of beauty. The Hu sand buried one.
采莲曲
The Lotus Song. The girls by the Ruya River, laughing and chattering over the lotus leaves. The rising sun brightened their new makeup. Fragrant sleeves rose against the sky. Who were the young men on the shore, roaming 3s and 5s in the setting sun? Their purple stallions neighed in the falling petals. A melancholy scene to watch.
长干行二首陆一
The Song of the River Merchant's Wife. Her hair barely covered her forehead, breaking a flower branch and playing in front of the door. He came riding on a bamboo stick and played with her green plum branch. They both lived in Chang'an and were carefree. At 14 she married him and was shy. Her face toward the wall and would not turn around at 1,000 urgings. At 15 she relaxed her brows and vowed to love him until they turned into dust. At 16 he left on a faraway journey up the treacherous Yangtze Gorge. In May the river reached the sky, and the howling of the monkey was sad and wild. The paths to the front door were void of footsteps and covered with green moss. The moss could not be swept away. The autumn wind brought down leaves early. In August the butterflies flew in pairs above the grass in the west garden. She sat and waited. If he was coming down the river, would he please send words ahead? She would welcome him and go not too far, but certainly as far as Long Wind Sandbar.
鼓廊月行
The Gulang Moon. When I was little, I didn't know the moon and called it a jade plate. I wondered if it was a celestial mirror floating above the blue clouds. First it revealed its heavenly dwellers' feet, then the osmanthus tree. When the moon was full, they both could be seen. The magical rabbit finished its stomping of medicine. Who would he give it to? The celestial toad ate up the moon. It waned as the night was going. Hu Yi shot down 9 suns so people could live in peace. The moon had been affected and couldn't recover its brightness. When I thought of this, I was full of sadness.
东海游泳妇
The Brave Woman of the East Sea. A Liang hillside was moved by Shi Liang's wife. It collapsed by her crying. Stones and rocks opened suddenly by her love for her husband who died fighting for his country. The brave woman at the East Sea who could put General Su Wu to shame. Her sword playing was better than that of a man's, blade maneuvering brighter than a meteor. She went to war to avenge her husband, risking 1,000 deaths. White sabers sparkled like snow. Heaven moved by her devotion. She jumped over 10 steps, yelling at the oncoming enemy. Decapitated heads hung at the city gate. She stepped on the entrails of slain foes. The high official of the North Sea readily reported it to the emperor. To commend her great courage, she was included in the book of righteous women. In the Han Dynasty, Ti Ying went to court willing to go to jail for her father. In the spring and autumn period, the daughter of a little official at the ferry, ready to die for her father for his negligence. 10 non-obedient sons were not worth more than one filial daughter. The brave woman of the East Sea, her deed done and her name known throughout history.
黄阁篇
The Linen Song. The linen plant grew by the river Luo. Yellow flowers thick by themselves. Green smoke were their stems, spreading hundreds of feet. Women used their bare hands, picking them and making them into linen. They sew the linen into uniforms and sent them to far-away lands. The stars in the sky were distant. When the summer outfit arrived, the weather might already be cold. Don't discard them, their women's toil.
玉阶鸢
The Lament of the Jade Steppes. The jade steppes grew white frost. The long night invaded the stockings. She let down the crystal bead curtains and looked at the crystal moon.
宫中行落词8首录3
Verses of having fun at the palace. Dainty little gold chamber, dainty little palace, the mountain flowers in her hair, the luoyang flowers embroidered on her silk robe. Every time she left the deep courtyard, she walked along the emperor's sedan. She was only worried the song and dance would end, and she would become a color cloud and dissipate.
子夜吴歌
The Song of the Seasons. Chang'an is immersed in the moonlight. 1,000 families washed their clothes. The autumn wind does not blow away with thoughts of the Jade Fort. When will the barbarians be peaceful? Husbands can stop their faraway journey. Tomorrow the parcel will be sent. All night working on the uniform. The pretty hand draws an icy needle. It is even harder to hold a pair of scissors. Sewing will be sent far away. When will it reach Lin Tiao?
峨眉山月歌
The Moon Song of Mei Mountain. The half-autumn of the Mei Mountain moon. Its shadow went into the running water of the Jiang River. At night, one sails toward the 3 gorges and passes Yu Zhao, thinking of someone at home.
真孟浩然
To Meng Haoren. I like Mr. Meng. He was known for his romantic self. He gave up officialdom when he was a young man, and rested with the cloud and the pine. He drank with the moon, and spent his time in the flowers. A high mountain is out of reach. I can only catch a handful of fragrance.
春思
Spring Thoughts. The grass of Yan is like green silk. The mulberry trees of Qin dip their verdant branches. The day you are thinking of going home, that's the time my heart breaks. Spring breeze, I don't know you. Why are you entering my chamber?
夜思
Looking at the moon. Before my bed the moon shone brightly. I thought it was frost on the ground. I lifted my head and looked at the moon. I lowered my head and thought of home.